Okay, I'd like to come back to those and maybe touch on each of them briefly, but what are the market trends in those industries at the moment?
Within the industries that we obviously, as I mentioned earlier on, we cover various different industries, and the teams specialize within kind of skill sets. But the industries that we cover, for example, the IT industry is something that's always been quite an interesting area for us, and obviously it's a very cyclical business, and when times are good, things can be really exciting, and in certain areas, at certain times, certain areas can really have a tough time.
It's bearable in many ways.
Exactly. In some ways, it's actually similar to the kind of the financial markets. But within that sector at the moment, obviously there's an awful lot of M&A going on. Companies like Cisco Systems and Microsoft and Hewlett-Packard, EMC, all these major firms are looking to purchase and buy smaller, mid-sized firms with the aim of being a kind of a total solutions provider. So that's pretty interesting. That makes it a pretty interesting thing to experience, because you could be working with one client very closely, then they suddenly could be purchased by another one of your clients or someone who's not your client. So it's always quite interesting to come in the morning and check the financial news and see who's been buying who, and because that will have an effect on our business.
What is the fallout or otherwise of that? How does it?
Well, sometimes, I mean, it can be quite good, especially when it's two businesses that we work with quite closely, and one's quite small, and one the bigger kind of brother comes and purchases the other. And obviously, in that situation, there's always some sort of restructuring, and that's something that we can help with. Maybe they need just people with different experience, different skill sets. Or it has happened on occasion where there's a smaller company that we've worked with is purchased by a big company that we don't work with, and in that circumstances we can actually lose the relationship with the smaller firm as well. But it's a pretty interesting market. Other things like software as a service. Is quite an interesting business. Things like companies like Salesforce.com, basically doing online software, providing that's something that we're seeing a little bit of growth in.
There are some issues with that, though.
Security, yes. People are still quite nervous doing a lot of business transactions over the internet. So that is something that I think there will have to be some changes for that really to take off.
And would you see security as an issue, a very big issue in Japan, or do you think it's quite together in that regard?
I mean, I think it's an issue anywhere. It's an issue that's never far away from people's thoughts, though, obviously, with the Privacy Act, and people very concerned about their personal information, and businesses being very cautious in that respect. But I think I don't see it as a major problem, but it's just the nature of being in Japan, I suppose, that people can be a little bit more cautious.